Hello, and welcome to the online learning opportunity titled Ohio's 5th PFS Sustainability Module, a Facilitator's Guide. This learning opportunity was developed by Ohio's 5th PFS project directors to serve as a resource for coalition directors who are utilizing Ohio's 5th PFS Sustainability Module for sustainability planning. My name is Holly Raffel, and I will be introducing this learning opportunity. Sustainability is an integral part of the Strategic Prevention Framework. Oftentimes, we think of sustainability as continuity of services. This module will hopefully challenge Ohio's coalition to think of sustainability in terms of benefits or value that a coalition offers a community. Ohio's sustainability module has been in the field for about 5 years. It has been field tested in Ohio communities and revised with feedback from project directors in several of Ohio's prevention initiatives. We are excited that you are considering using the module in your coalition's work. Ohio's sustainability module is not only grounded in practice, it is also grounded in research. For more information on the theoretical underpinnings of the module, please visit Ohio's 5th PFS website and explore the sustainability page. When you visit the 5th PFS website, you will find several tools available to support your work. All of these tools were created with public funds, so please feel free to utilize them to support sustainability efforts in your coalition and your community. The sustainability module is divided into 6 sections. Each of the 6 sections will be addressed in this learning opportunity. The purpose of this learning opportunity is to provide you with tips and tricks on how to approach the sustainability module from a project director who has engaged in the process. It is with pleasure that I turn this video over to Ohio's 5th PFS project directors who have created this video as a way to share their experiences with others.
We're going to be looking at building the sustainability team. And when building your sustainability team, you need to think about individuals and organizations that can increase the operational capacity for the project moving forward. Some examples of these types of individuals or organizations may include youth-serving organizations such as 4-H or Campfire, obviously your schools in your community, local law enforcement, and the Community Mental Health and Addictions Board. Don't forget the media as well.
So depending on your communities, there may be additional groups to consider including. Keeping some of those agencies in mind, you will want to be intentional while thinking of sustainability and who will best fit that role. This may be an individual that is a community champion of your cause, or an organization that has aligned with your goals or has resources to make a bigger impact. This may also include persons in key leadership positions, such as superintendents and leaders in local government who are in the position of influence.
And finally, it's very important that you remember to think outside of that coalition silo and look more broadly at your community. To sustain an initiative over time can require both financial resources as well as access to non-financial resources. There may be others that can play a role in the sustaining of the work of the 5th PFS project that are not current partners, but who have had the ability to move the project forward. Remember also that each person at the table represents their larger organization, and that equates into valuable human resources, community support, and increases the likelihood that your work can be sustained and offer public value.
In this next section, we will discuss what needs to be sustained. The first step is to identify what it is the coalition is sustaining, such as an organization or project, an idea, a relationship, or a particular outcome. An organization or project might be your coalition, a marketing campaign, or a particular prevention service, such as surveys. Sustaining an idea might include reminding your community about prevention science, sustaining your coalition message, or keeping your coalition's presence fresh in the minds of your community members. Relationships with key stakeholders lead to prevention success in a number of ways, such as giving their time, talent, or treasure. Important to identify and be clear about what a member is capable and willing to contribute. Your coalition may also sustain a valuable outcome, such as a youth substance use survey in order to reduce or maintain low use rates and share that data with the community.
When you are planning for sustainability, one question you are going to have to answer is, what evidence do you have that what you are doing is worth sustaining? From the strategic triangle, this question explores the public value of your effort.
Next, we're looking at what is the positive impact. In order to facilitate discussion and complete your sustainability module, you'll need to consider the positive impact from different perspectives. It would be important to include members of your community, which can include coalition members, youth, and key leaders, among others. Also, be prepared to provide evidence of your impact. This could include survey results or presentations of data, information from focus groups, and/or evidence of relationship building within a community. For instance, do you have more people attending now than when you began? Do you have new tools that your community can use to assess readiness or identify problems? Are schools asking to see their data? All of those are examples that indicate evidence that your initiative should be sustained.
So the next section is what institutional support structures and/or policies need to be in place to achieve sustainability. So you have people who supports the PSS grant, the places where has the PSS grant work been utilized, and the third one is seeing what was implemented through this PSS grant work. Sorry. The people who support this PSS grant are generally, but not limited to, the 12 sectors that have been identified as being essential in developing a coalition to guide community change. Those 12 sectors, and like we said, not limited to, are law enforcement, schools, faith-based, business, media, youth, parents, civic groups, governmental agencies, medical fields, youth serving organizations, and others. Along with these 12 sectors, the local schools, mental health boards, community colleges, and our ongoing advisory board has played a huge part in this PSS process. As a result of these relationships, we have been able to support our schools, churches, health department, mental health providers, and institutions of higher learning by providing new data points that helps us look at the health of our community. This has become an important part of the community wellness planning process. Through community events and health fairs, we have been able to communicate this information.
In this section, we will be looking at sustaining operational capacity. In particular, what capacity is necessary to sustain coalition effort, and where will that capacity come from? In order to sustain operational capacity, you need to determine the resources necessary to sustain your objectives and be mindful of, one, your mission and vision. It is imperative to have a shared mission and vision. Number two, your member capacity. Commitment to best practices in prevention, education and training opportunities for coalition members are very important. Representation from 12 sectors, establishing a recruitment plan, and assigning meaningful roles for members. Keep in mind that leadership must be flexible to meet members' needs. You also need to be mindful of organizational structure. Defining coalition structure to include roles and responsibilities, bylaws, memorandum of understanding, committee design, board design, fiscal expenditure process, evaluation process that needs to review on a regular basis the work of the coalition to ensure coalition accountability. You must be mindful of funding, identifying what your coalition wants to sustain. What are your priorities? What is the cost of meeting the sustainability goals? The cost of your personnel, your supplies, your coalition initiatives. Be mindful of the monetary commitment to ensure collection of data and assessments, branding and marketing of the coalition, determining what funding resources are available locally, statewide, and federally are imperative to continue sustaining your coalition's mission and focus. You also need to be mindful of personnel and time. Dedicated time for paid and unpaid staff is necessary to facilitate the coalition process and goals. It is also very important to have space. Find your home. A coalition that has their home allows to promote the ownership, credibility for the coalition, and increases public perception that the coalition is a viable entity and an important entity within your community.
In this section, we will look at strengths and challenges. Some of the strengths and challenges you may encounter can be found in these 3 areas of the SPIF process. What are some strengths to consider? Relationships. Relationships with community members are vital. Knowing your key players and how we can help each other is very important. It ensures that we are all headed in the same direction and allows for healthy communities to thrive. Data collection. Data drives our efforts. Data is needed when choosing an evidence-based program. Without the documentation of data, it never happened. Capacity and resources. You can have all the money in the world, but without the involvement of the people in your community, the chances of success are slim. Collaboration is such an important asset. Pool your resources, pull from each other's resources. One person or agency cannot do the work alone. Community buy-in. You need a community champion that can build a relationship with you who can bring others to the table, as well as create a buy-in around a common goal. You must communicate the need for community involvement in order to be successful. Consistency. Now that we have been through the strategic prevention framework process, for any new problem of practice that arises, you must implement the steps of assessment, capacity, planning, implementation, and evaluation, while keeping cultural competence and sustainability in mind at all times. We must utilize what we have been bringing to our communities through the Strategic Prevention Framework model. And lastly, when it comes to strengths, have flexibility.
When thinking about strengths and challenges, these are some ideas to consider. Before closing every meeting of your coalition, let your members know that you are always recruiting. We found it helpful to print an elevator speech with our mission statement and vision statement on it, along with small important points. Use current relationships to recruit and build capacity. Annual data collection. Data collection is important for us to understand the current trends of our youth. Whether collecting annually or biannually, data gives the coalition a direction in which to look at areas of concern. MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding. This happens between the coalition and the agency or place you want to collect data from. Subcommittees. This gives coalition members an opportunity to work in areas that are best suited for them. It also helps spread the workload based on initiatives that we are working on.
And you may encounter some challenges. Some of those challenges could be in the leadership. Leadership can change. Be ready to step in and guide the coalition until a new leader arises. Draw on your coalition members to help guide the work. Consider looking at capacity through rotating leadership roles, such as having a member lead a meeting, another member overseeing a project, and still another speaking at a community event. If you have no community buy-in, Find a community champion, which could be a person or agency that does buy in, and have them help you attract new members. An advisory committee is imperative. A first good partner is needed, such as the health department. Funding. Start looking at sustainability as soon as possible. The coalition is not only looking to broaden their funding base, but also widen partnerships. Creating width and depth with your partnerships will provide a foundation for sustainability. And lastly, data talks. Communication is key. Communicating with your community and providing and sharing the data so that others may use it for their needs. Above all, have patience and be flexible.
We'd like to thank you for participating today. For more information and resources, please visit Ohio's SPF PFS website with the link below.